We live in a time where progress feels unstoppable. Every day, there's a new breakthrough, a new record, a new invention promising to change our lives forever. We call it innovation, we call it advancement. But behind every leap forward, there's a cost, a shadow that follows every new light. This is the paradox of progress, the idea that every step forward comes with consequences we never intended, that for all the problems we solve, we somehow create new ones. The story of progress has always been like this, hopeful, inspiring, and yet ionic, because while technology pushes us into the future, it also forces us to confront what we lost along the way. The first great paradox began over 2 centuries ago during the Industrial Revolution. Steam engines roared to life, factories rose from the ground. For the first time, machines could do the work of hundreds of men. Productivity soared, cities expanded, and with that, the modern world began to take shape. So did inequality. The same factories that created jobs also created unbearable working conditions. Pollution darkened the skies, and entire communities became dependent on industrial giants that treated them as replaceable. Progress gave birth to comfort, but also to exhaustion. It promised freedom through labor saving machines, but enslaved millions to the rhyme of production. Still, humanity pressed on because that's what we do. We push forward, convinced that the next invention will fix the last one's mistakes. Fast forward 100 years, electricity lights up the night. Telephones connect voices across continents. The airplane makes the world smaller. And then the computer appears. The digital revolution promised something new, liberation through information. In the 1990s, the internet arrived like magic. Suddenly, anyone could learn anything, share ideas, and connect instantly. Knowledge was no longer confined to universities or libraries, it was everywhere. But something subtle happened. As we connected the world, we disconnected ourselves. The same internet that opened the door to billions also overwhelmed us with noise. Truth became harder to separate from misinformation, and the algorithm that were supposed to serve us began shaping what we think, believe, and even desire. We created the most powerful communication system in history, and yet somehow we've never felt more divided. Every generation believes its technology will change the world for the better, and in many ways that's true. But progress never moves in a straight line. It loops, it doubles back, it gives and it takes. Now we've entered another chapter, the era of artificial intelligence. Machines that can talk, paint, write, compose, and even reason. For decades, this idea lived only in science fiction, but today it's part of our daily lives, in our phones, our homes, our workplaces. AI was meant to free us from the ordinary, to give us more time for creativity, curiosity, and humanity. But for many, it's done the opposite. It's brought fear, fear of being replaced, fear of being obsolete. In boardrooms, companies are replacing workers with algorithms. In studios, artists are competing with AI generated arts. In classrooms, students use AI tools that their teachers barely understand. And in all this, the same question echoes through time. What happens when our creations start thinking for us? Some say this is evolution, that machines are the next step in intelligence, but perhaps they are more like mirrors. Because artificial intelligence doesn't just imitate our brilliance, it amplifies our flaws. Every bias we hold, every limitation we impose, every piece of data we feed it becomes a reflection of who we are. AI doesn't destroy humanity, it reveals humanity. It shows us what we value and what we ignore. It forces us to define what it truly means to be human, not through competition but through contrast. Because while an algorithm can learn, it cannot understand. It can mimic emotion but it cannot feel. It can predict patterns but it cannot imagine. Every new technology brings us convenience, but convenience always comes with a hidden cost. We no longer have to wait for letters, messages arrive instantly. We no longer have to memorize, search engines remember for us. We no longer have to explore. The world now comes to us through screens. Life has become frictionless, and yet that friction was what gave it texture. The waiting, the effort, the uncertainty. That's where meaning used to live. Now, in our pursuit of perfect efficiency, we risk losing the very things that made us human in the first place. Patience, curiosity, serendipity. Maybe progress isn't just about doing things faster. Maybe it's about understanding was worth slowing down for. History keeps reminding us that technology doesn't fix human nature, it amplifies it. When we invented fire, we learned to cook and to destroy. When we split the atom, we discovered energy and the bomb. When we created the internet, we built the largest library in history and the loudest echo chamber. Progress always gives with one and takes with the other. But perhaps that's not failure. Perhaps that's balance. Because in the end, the paradox of progress isn't a warning, it's a reminder that technology is a tool, not a destiny, that innovation doesn't replace wisdom, and that the more advanced we become, the more we need to remember who we are. We often talk about how machines are evolving, but maybe the real question is, are we? Will we keep chasing speed, scale, and automation? Or will we finally learn to use technology as a partner, not a master? Progress has never been purely good or purely bad. It has always been human, messy, imperfect, and full of contradictions. And maybe that's the point, because progress isn't about escaping our flaws, it's about understanding them. Each new invention doesn't just change the world, it reveals what kind of world we want to create. So, as we stand at the edge of another revolution, one question remains: will we guide progress or let it guide us? Because in the end, progress isn't measured by how far our machines can go, but by how far humanity chooses to rise with them. Catch you guys in the next one.